In the Fighting Qi continent, 8 years had passed since the battle between the Flame Emperor and the Soul Emperor. During these 8 years, not only had the central prefecture become a brand new place, but it had also reached a new height of prosperity. All kinds of geniuses and monstrous geniuses had emerged one after another in the vast central prefecture. They were all showing off their skills and creating their own legends. At the same time, all kinds of sects were appearing like bamboo shoots after a rain. They used to be proud of the central prefecture's 1 pagoda, 1 hall, 2, sects 3 grades, 4 grades pavilion. Other than the Burning Flame Valley Pill Tower and other factions that still existed, the other factions had long been replaced by even more powerful factions. All sorts of factions had split up, and the Central Plains once again entered a period of prosperity and prosperity. However, even so, the Central Plains was still ruled by a colossus in the hearts of all the factions in the Central Plains. However, this huge monster had long stopped interfering in the conflicts in the Central Prefecture. Its responsibility had gone beyond the Central Prefecture and was protecting the stability of the entire Fighting Qi continent. Because of that huge monster, there was the Fighting Monarch and the Sky Mansion Alliance. At that time, there was only the Fighting Monarch, the Flame Emperor. The headquarters of the Sky Mansion Alliance was the Falling Star Pavilion. This hidden sect was now even more quiet and mysterious. It was covered by countless forests. Moreover, the Fighting Monarch had used some means to find it. Even a Dosheng would not be able to find it. At this moment in the interior of the Falling Star Pavilion, in an enormous ancient hall, a handsome young man dressed in black clothes was seated cross-legged. Although there was not a trace of aura being emitted from his body, it still caused the few Doshengs present to be extremely shocked. Fighting Monarch. This was the might of the Fighting Monarch. However, by relying on the pressure one could make Dosheng nervous. There was only one person in the world, Flame Emperor Xiao. Xiao inhaled a long breath of air at this moment. He opened his eyes and a fierce flame flashed within them, after which he raised his head and looked at the top of the hall. His deep eyes seemed to be able to see through this world. I can feel it. In a month at most, that mysterious summoning force will appear. Xiao suddenly spoke. His words caused the expressions of the few Doshengs beside him to be shocked. Yaner, what do you mean? The eyes of a middle-aged man wearing simple linen clothes flashed as he spoke urgently. Xiaoyan closed his eyes and said slowly, Father, I think the mystery of the disappearance of the Fighting Monarch and Fighting Qi continent originated from this power. Guyun's expression changed. He looked at Zhu Kun, who was standing beside him. The latter's eyes were also filled with surprise. Xiaoyan smiled and didn't say anything else. He turned his eyes and looked straight ahead, as if he wanted to see the entire Fighting Qi continent. 1 month later, Central Province Sky Mansion Alliance Tower of Heaven. Xiao was wearing a black robe. He was sitting cross-legged and his qi was stable. It was as if he had become one with the heaven and earth. At this moment, below the sky-reaching tower, countless experts were gathered together. Their eyes were burning with passion as they looked at Xiao, who was standing on the top of the tower. Their eyes were filled with crazy respect and respect. Tell me, is what Xiao said true? Gu Yuan looked at Xiao, who was standing at the top of the tower. He looked at Zhu Kun and asked. Zhu Kun thought for a while. It shouldn't be wrong. The ancient books of my Void Dragon clan also recorded the disappearance of my clan's Fighting Monarch. Otherwise, do you think there is anything in this continent that can kill Fighting Monarchs? Goyan nodded. Their Gu clan had produced more than one Fighting Monarch, but in the end, it also mysteriously disappeared. From the looks of it, what Xiao said made some sense. Suddenly, a strange phenomenon appeared in the sky. Everyone looked at the sky and saw that the sky was suddenly as black as ink. Then a circle of light slowly appeared. It turned into a spatial crack. The qi that was faintly emitted from the crack caused everyone present to be extremely shocked. Looking at the space black hole that was getting bigger and bigger in the sky, Xiao eyes were burning with passion. He could not help but clench his fist, and his heart seemed to have become restless. The peaceful life that he had lived for more than 10 years had made his nature, which was passionate about fighting, gradually become cold. It was just like how the light looked at the endless space black holes. An aura was emitted from within, and this aura actually caused his blood to boil. And this is the origin monarch Qi. Zhu Kun and Gu Yan felt the aura that filled the sky. They suddenly felt the Du Qi that had been stagnant in their bodies for many years slowly circulate. The two of them looked at each other in surprise and tried to calm their hearts. When they looked at the space black hole again, their eyes were filled with fire and surprise. The two of them jumped a few feet away from the space black hole. "What's going on?" Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows and looked at Gu Yuan and Zhu Kun, who were rushing towards the black hole again. He nodded as if he had understood something. Then he moved and arrived in front of the black hole. He stretched out his hands and endless combat power gathered in front of him. His hands grabbed an invisible energy. Puff! Suddenly, Xiao Yan was pushed dozens of meters away by the counterforce. Traces of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. So. Two slender figures appeared in the air to support Xiao Yan. Juner anxiously asked, "Is Mr. Xiao Yan all right?" Xiao Yan shook his head and looked at his hands. His eyes were filled with surprise. The corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. Xiao Yan pushed this invisible energy towards Kai Lin and Shun Both of them were at the peak of the 9-star Do Sheng. At this moment, after absorbing the invisible energy, the combat power in their bodies actually increased crazily. Looking at the stunned faces of the two girls, Xiao Yan chuckled. This origin monarch Qi was indeed a good thing. Under countless gazes, it once again charged toward the space black hole. It pushed the origin monarch Qi that it grabbed towards Kailin Shun, Gu Yuan, and Zhu Kun, the 4 elite Do Shengs. Gu Jian's body suddenly shook after pushing 5 or 6 more energy toward Gu Yuan. In an instant, a monstrous aura that caused the expressions of everyone present to change erupted from Gu Yuan's body. At the same time, Zhu Kun suddenly erupted with a frightening aura, causing all the experts below the Dusheng class to spit out blood. Some ordinary Doshengs also found it difficult to breathe. After the unusual phenomenon in the sky had passed, the auras of the two of them were similar to Xiao Yan's. Everyone was stunned. Two fighting monarch had been born. Oh, in an instant the entire square became quiet. For thousands of years, not a single fighting monarch was produced. However, they never expected to see 3 fighting monarchies that had advanced in just a few decades. This was too unbelievable. The crowd was silent. Zhu Kun, Gu Yuan and Gu Yuan felt an immeasurable amount of powerful Dao Qi in their bodies, and their faces bloomed like flowers. Both of them had been looking forward to seeing the level of the fighting monarch for thousands of years. Wait a moment. Xiao Yan shifted his gaze away from Gu Yuan and Zhu Kun and looked at the two girls. Juner and Kolin's strength had also reached the peak. It was very likely that they would step into the fighting monarch. Their expressions changed. Just as they were about to speak, Xiao Yan had already turned into a ray of light and rushed in front of the space black hole. As time passed, the barrier of the space black hole broke apart with a hua-la sound. An aura that caused one's expression to change spread out. Xiao Yan's expression changed slightly at this moment. He lowered his head and lowered his head. Xiao Yan's expression changed slightly as well. He said to Zhu Kun, and Zhu Kun, "Seniors, let's attack together." The suction force of this spatial zone is getting stronger and stronger. Zhu Kun and Gu Gen nodded. They stabilized their bodies, which were shaking due to the spatial storm, and rushed towards the space black hole. Then they clenched their fists. They grabbed an origin monarch Qi and retreated. Then they pushed the origin monarch Qi toward the two girls. Bang! Right at this moment, Juner's aura suddenly soared. Immediately, the entire heaven and earth produced a strange phenomenon, and the wind and clouds roiled. The two suns shone together, and the phenomenon in the heavens and earth only dissipated after a long time. Shunner stood in the void and bathed in endless multicolored light, attracting the attention of countless people. Kailin also broke through to the fighting monarch a moment later, and the 4 of them called out at the same time. With a single breath, this origin monarch Qi was really overbearing. In just a day's time, it had allowed the 4 of them to advance to the peak of the Saint Realm. If he were to bring this origin monarch Qi into the fighting Qi continent, it was likely that there would be even more fighting monarch born in the fighting Qi continent in the future. The entire world became silent. Xiao Yan looked at the origin monarch Qi in the sky, and his eyes were overflowing with a bright light. After making up his mind, Xiao Yan flicked the storage ring and quickly ate a few Tier 8 medicine pills that recovered Du Qi. Kang Ben's face regained some color. After a pause, Xiao Yan turned around. He said to Gu Yuan and the other three, "Use the spatial seal. I'll try and see if I can guide some of the origin monarch Qis out." The four of them nodded. Their faces were filled with joy. They used the great divine ability of the fighting monarch to seal the space in this area, protecting everyone below. Xiao Yao took a deep breath. His 10 fingers moved continuously, leaving after images behind. A moment later, the flames around Xiao Yan's body surged. Endless suction force rose. The origin monarch's qi was continuously sucked out from the black hole. Xiao Yan suddenly clenched his fingers tightly. The origin monarch qi dissipated in an instant and merged with the heaven and earth. Some high-rank Daosheng immediately felt that there was something extra in the air. A moment later, Xiao Yan inhaled a deep breath of air. His face was pale as he withdrew his hands. At this moment, the eyes of the entire Central Plains and even the continent were focused on this place. He saw 5 vast waves of Du Qi. Their expressions couldn't help but change drastically, and then numerous figures appeared. He rushed out from the deep mountains and forests, crazily rushing towards Central State. "Everyone, I have already guided some of the origin monarch Qis. In the future, the chances of breaking through to the fighting monarch realm will be higher. The shackles between the heavens and earth will be much smaller." After saying this, he cupped his hands toward the countless people below and said, "We will meet again if fate permits." The 5 fighting monarchies slowly flew towards the black hole. Just as they were about to enter the voice of the Sky Mansion, Alliance rang out. "Farewell, Alliance Master." Madam Alliance Master, Yun Yun, the little fairy doctor, and the rest looked at the black-clothed man in the sky. Their pretty faces were filled with joy. There was a sadness and reluctance on her pretty face. This man had finally reached a level that they could not reach. Members of the Xiao clan sent off the patriarch. Countless experts of the Xiao clan stood in the air. Xiao, who was standing in front of them, pursed her lips to prevent herself from crying. Her small fists were tightly clenched. The ancient Void Dragon clan sends the old dragon monarch off respectfully. The people of the Gu clan send the patriarch off respectfully. "Young lady." A heaven-shaking, earth-shattering howl resounded throughout the Central Plains. Yao Lao Xiaojian and the others looked at Xiao Yan, their hearts filled with pride and reluctance. "Kid, work hard. When my old bones become fighting monarchies, I will go and take a look. When the time comes, I hope that you have already made a name for yourself." Yao Lao said with a smile. The voices behind them gradually dissipated. The 5 of them entered the space black hole. Looking at the black space in front of them that could not be seen to the side, Xiao Yan said softly, "Let's go. I wonder how that space is." "Oh." Gu Yuan and the other 3 nodded. Xiao Yan flipped his palm. The glazed monarch flame that was formed from 23 types of heavenly flames turned into a heavenly flame, barrier wrapping everyone within it. In an unknown place, he really didn't dare to let his guard down. The 5 of them immediately moved and shot towards the destination. The concept of time in the space black hole was extremely vague. Xiao Yan and the other 3 had flown for an unknown number of days. The scene beside them was still pitch black. The only change was, they could sense that the origin monarch Qi had gradually become denser. When they sensed this change, the 5 of them felt some excitement in their hearts. Once again, they increased their speed. In the blink of an eye, the 5 light dots had disappeared from this region. A moment later, a lightning figure slowly appeared. After pausing for a moment, it once again rushed in the direction where Xiao Yan and the rest had headed. After an unknown amount of time, Xiao Yan mechanically looked into the distance. Strange fire surged in his eyes. An ray of light flashed in the distance. Xiao Yan put it into his eyes and said with a joyful expression, "I see the end." The 4 people's spirits were lifted. Was it finally about to come to an end? After flying for such a long time? Even though he had advanced to the fighting monarch realm, he still felt a trace of fatigue. I'll rest for a while. After I recover my strength, I'll head straight to the end.
Yes,
Xiao stopped. The four of them nodded. The Dao Qi within their bodies had also become somewhat lacking at this moment. Xiao was just about to take out the medicine pill and give it to everyone when a buzzing sound suddenly sounded in the air. An invisible attack rushed over from an unknown place. In an instant, it collided with the heavenly flame barrier. The five of them borrowed the short resistance from the heavenly flame barrier and instinctively left their positions. In the next moment, the heavenly flame barrier suddenly shattered. The space within it even began to tremble slightly. Xiao looked at the spot where the attack had hit with a serious expression. The stability of the space inside was extremely high. Even if he attacked, he wouldn't be able to shake it at all. This attack was actually able to cause a tremor. Just how terrifying was the strength of the attacker? Before Xiao could finish his thought, a cold voice suddenly sounded from afar. I never thought that the fighting monarch would appear in that broken place. All right then, stay and accompany me. There was a hint of mockery in his words. As the voice rang out, a figure slowly appeared in the dark space in the distance. Xiao stared at this devilish black-haired man and said in a deep voice, "Ed Senior, what is the meaning of this? Being stopped by a mysterious expert within this mysterious space black hole caused a trace of uneasiness to arise in Xiao heart." The man sneered. His eyes were filled with fire as he looked at Xiao and the others. His hoarse voice sounded in the ears of Xiao and the others. "What do you mean?" "Humph, humph. I have been waiting here for nearly 10,000 years, and not a single fighting monarch has appeared. They had been bored to death for a long time. It was not easy for them to find a fighting monarch back then. I didn't expect that kid to be formed from flames. I accidentally let him slip away. Now, the five of you, if I devour you, I'll definitely be able to break through." Xiao and the other three men's faces changed dramatically. Their eyes were filled with fear as they looked at 9 Nether Monarch's bug. Gu Yan gritted his teeth and said, "Are you saying that all the Fighting Shi continents and Fighting Shi continent have been devoured by you?" 9 Nether Monarchs. Bug snorted coldly and said sarcastically, "Sigh. If I had eaten my fill, I would naturally let go of some of the weaker ones. However, I don't want to let go of any of you 5. This Xiao also let out a cold snort. A majestic Dao Qi suddenly erupted from his body. When Gu Yuan and the other 3 saw this, they also let out angry roars. In an instant, 5 powerful Dao Qi slowly rose. Sao Yan felt the filled Dao Qi in his body and slowly clenched his fists. He said, "Senior, please do not attack. Otherwise, we will not surrender without a fight. Saxtus is the bomb mist on Pusambarit." 9 Nether Monarchs. Bug laughed when he heard that. He shook his head in disdain and said, "Humph. 4 trash who haven't even reached the middle stage of a 1-star fighting monarch. There's also a 2-star combat emperor who still wants to fight me." After saying that, he took a step forward. Compared to Xiao chi, his chi was 100 times stronger. Devastating fire body. Xiao casted the destruction fire body as soon as his chi was released. He threw a fire lotus at 9 Nether Monarch's bug. As soon as the fire lotus attacked Hong Long, Yellow Spring's heavenly wrath. It struck out 3 times and caught up to the fire lotus with a terrifying speed. With a destructive force, he attacked 9 Nether Monarch's bug. 9 Nether Monarch's bug had just reacted to the terrifying attack, and it had already arrived in front of him. Looking at these aggressive attacks with a pair of mocking eyes, 9 Nether Monarchs. Bug let out a ferocious smile. With a loud shout, he threw out his right fist. The fire lotus collided with a tremendous force. The exquisite dark green fire lotus was only able to hold on for a moment before it was destroyed. It destroyed the fire lotus with a single strike. 9 Nether Monarchs, Bug used his fist to form a palm. The dark combat power turned into a transparent light barrier in front of him. Boom, bum, boom. 3 soul attacks hit the light shield one after another. A deafening explosion resounded in everyone's ears. Xiao Yan's face was still gloomy as he looked at the light barrier that was about to collapse at the epicenter of the explosion. A trace of determination flashed across his eyes, and the aura of his body suddenly changed. It became extremely hot, after which both of his hands gathered above his head. An aura that caused the expressions of Zhu Kun and the others to change stealthily emerged. Is this fellow so powerful? He forced Xiao Yan to use his most powerful ultimate move. Zhu Kun said in a frightened manner. Gu Yan looked into the distance with a gloomy expression. The light screen was about to break. Gu Yan let out a long breath and said in a low voice, Zhu Kun, Cai Lin Xun let's also use our full strength. This guy, stronger than imagined. The three of them silently nodded their heads. Kai Lin sneered. It just so happens that I have never tried the power of this fighting monarch. Zhuner giggled. What Kai's sister Lin said is right. We will go with Mr. Xiao Yan and get 5 fighting monarchies. We can definitely defeat this bug. Zhu Kun and Gu Yuan looked at each other and smiled bitterly. The 4 of them raised their qi to the limit and looked at Xiao Yan, who was slowly opening his eyes. Xiao Yan's black eyes calmly looked at 9 Nether Monarch's bug, who was still intact in the distance. The latter also looked at him, and then he revealed a ferocious smile. Xiao Yan also smiled faintly and let out a soft sigh. Both of his hands suddenly shook, and a huge flaming ruler that was several hundred feet long suddenly took shape. The terrifying aura it emitted caused Gu Yuan and the others to have serious expressions on their faces. This heavenly flame eternal ruler. It's several times stronger than when it was used to seal Hun Tiandi. This Xiao Yan. He is still stronger than us. Zhu Kun heaved a long sigh. 9 Nether Monarchs betray this. Es en boer for mi pases ni bisen sprays per spao, Xiao Yan shouted. As soon as his voice faded, Xiao Yan's arms shook. The huge flaming ruler streaked across the pitch-black space in front of him. Then it smashed down towards 9 Nether Monarch's bug. This kid has quite a number of unique skills. However, this skill doesn't pose much of a threat to me. 9 Nether Monarchs, Bug let out a long roar. A shocking black dough chi gathered in his hands, causing his hands to turn exceptionally black. A trace of excitement flashed in 9 Nether Monarch's Bug's eyes as he said, Little thing, watch carefully. How did I counter your strongest move? The huge flaming ruler whistled down, but 9 Nether Monarch's Bug remained unmoved. When the huge ruler was about to reach the top of his head, 9 Nether Monarch's Bug shouted out loudly. He stretched out both hands and firmly grabbed the falling huge ruler. Boundless black combat power entered the huge ruler through his hands and crazily eroded the huge ruler. Xiao Yan's eyes lit up. His hand seal changed and the huge flaming ruler shook slightly. Then, under the expectant gazes of the crowd, it exploded, turning into a sea of fire. It submerged 9 Nether Monarch's Bug's figure,